Welcome back to the Ecom Growth Show. I am your host, Danon Coleman, and with me, I've got Gary Huang. He's a very good friend of mine. He's been around the Amazon space for a very long time, and he is based in Japan and helps sellers expand from whatever network they're in into Japan. So, Gary, it's good to have you on the show. And Gary, by the way, is also the owner and inventor, creator, founder, whatever you want to call him, of Seven Figure Sellers Summit. And so you should learn more about that because there's some pretty cool data and some pretty cool stuff that he does. So Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And konnichiwa. Greetings from
Konnichiwa.
Tokyo, Japan. It's great to be here. Good to see you, Danon.
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you too. So folks, we're going to keep this one pretty quick because time is not on our side given the time zone differences and stuff like that. And we are recording this the day before Thanksgiving for me, and he's got to get his son to school. So we're going to make this pretty quick. We will be sharing a little bit of a screen here, but Gary's going to go into what was, is it seven, it's 7 steps, right?
We're going to talk about Amazon Japan, why I feel it's the secret Amazon marketplace that almost nobody is talking about. I mean, it's the 4th biggest Amazon marketplace in the world. So we're going to talk about the 6 bridges, if you're an Amazon seller already selling in the US or UK, the bridges that you can use to cross to start selling in Japan.
Cool. Okay, good. The 6 bridges to getting into Japan. All right. So Gary, I'm going to let you just roll, man. So you go ahead and share your screen. And for those of you that are listening to this only on the audio, I'd recommend you pop over to YouTube and type in the Ecom Growth Show. And this is episode 9 of the Ecom Growth Show. All right, go ahead, Gary. Let's hear it.
Excellent. And I'll try to be concise as well. So for those of you guys listening, you'll still get a lot of value out of this. Okay. And also I'm going to share a scorecard, like a Selling in Japan scorecard, if you're an Amazon seller, that you can grab in the show notes. So this way, if you want to like see how likely your product will do in Japan, you can grab that as a free bonus for you guys. All right. So again, it's great to be here.
Go ahead and tell them the URL for that now. So it's 7, the number 7, sevenfiguresellersummit.com/growth. So if you just want to get into that right now and see this scorecard, so you can have it available to you, 7figuresellersummit.com/growth.
Perfect. And I'll also share the slides. So this way you have the 6 bridges as well. So you can follow along as well.
Sweet.
All right. So,
awesome. Thanks.
All right, let's get into this. So I think the first question is, something that's really shocking to me is like nobody is talking about selling on Amazon Japan, because we know in the US, I'm sure it's the number 1 biggest market, but there's so much competition. There's new all the Amazon fees, and PPC is super expensive, and you're dealing with like this, that, and right now Q4 there's all like the delays with AWDs going to FBA, etc. Right? So just really quick, I know, Danon, you're a real, you're really into like the profitability, whatever gets measured gets managed, right? So, coming from just like a pure numbers perspective, I want to show you some data why I feel, and, a lot of sellers are selling in Japan, they are seeing Japan as a great opportunity. So first off, my background is the intersection of e-commerce and supply chain, right? So in the sourcing and supply chain world, there's a saying, okay, the real money is made in the buying side, right? When you source your product, when you land your products, when you optimize the shipping cost, like all of your storage fees, etc. The real money is made in the buying, not just in the selling. So everyone's really focused on selling more, selling at a higher price, optimizing this, that, and the other thing. But if you're able to lower your product costs, if you're able to lower your landed costs, if you can, quickly turn over your products more quickly, that goes direct to your profitability. Okay, so for those of you guys watching, I'm showing on screen ocean freight rates, across the board. We're seeing them rising even more, like skyrocketing, container prices. I mean, this is older data. Like container prices now, they're even more expensive. And like right now, before, Trump comes in and the new round of China tariffs, like everybody is rushing to get all their shipments in from China before the 60% Trump tariffs, right? So like shipping prices are out of control. And also like, in the Red Sea, there's like pirates, they were like shooting missiles at container ships that are going from China to Europe, right? There was like a shortcut
Wow.
through the Suez Canal, and these ships, like, there's no way they can do that. They don't want to get like shot at, so they had to go all the way down
Right.
south, past the very, very southern tip of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope, and then all the way
Yeah.
up back around, to get into like Rotterdam, right?
So
Like
what? So
Europe. So
that
this is
looks like
yeah,
roughly 5 times the distance. Yeah.
yeah, that's at least like 2 to 3 weeks longer your products will be sitting on the boat, right? And then this is affecting the whole world, like in terms of container shortages. There's like more containers, on the ships. So it's really like causing like a huge disruption in the sourcing and the shipping side in terms of time and cost, right? So I just want to show you guys why Japan logistically has an advantage, right? So Dane, you can see on the map, right? China to Japan, the distance is very close. They're neighbors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus China to USA, you got to cross the Pacific Ocean, right? So on average, if you're shipping a container from China to Japan, it only takes 7 to 10 days, like a week, basically. And
Wow.
Japan, like, they're very
from
efficient.
port to port.
Yeah, from port to port, right? It's very fast. Versus everyone knows China to the US, I mean, it's a slow boat from China, right? It's going to take like 30 days, 45 days. Like the quickest boat is still going to take at least like, 20 days, right? I mean, and you're dealing with all the delays right now, right? So,
Yeah.
I was talking to, one of, our friends, like Brandon Young, right? We
Mm-hmm.
were like talking about the Japan opportunity, and he's like, that's a no-brainer, right? Think about like how much quicker you can turn your inventory, you can lower like your order sizes because you can turn them a lot faster. So that frees up your cash flow as well,
Yep.
right? And then also like the shipping costs obviously are a lot lower, going into Japan. And like the third thing is, with the Trump tariffs, right? The beauty of selling in Japan is there's no trade war going on between China and Japan. So there's zero tariffs. There's zero. So literally you're going to cut the new round of tariffs. Trump says it's going to be 60% import tariffs, right? You're going to cut that down to zero. Okay. So like, I don't think I need to go like too much in the details, but like, it's
Sure.
kind of like a no brainer,
Yeah.
like in terms of the shipping time and the cost, right? Like,
Right.
yeah. Dana, if anything resonates, please jump in. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I just did a podcast with Afalabi on the a very similar, the same thing, basically going over tariffs. So he owns Tariff Terminator, where he finds you the best HTS codes, HTS harmonized tariff schedule. Yeah,
Yeah.
HTS codes.
Or HS codes. Yeah,
Or
that's right.
HS for the rest of the world. Yeah. So and this lends very well into that. So like the as a CEO of Ecom Triage, my whole goal, as you said, is where are people missing their profit, right? First of all, where are they spending? Where is their money leaking? And where are they overspending? But where can they locate profit that nobody's ever felt that or known about, right? This is absolutely one of those things, right? So it is definitely a no-brainer, but I would wager. So as a seller myself, my first thought is, okay, cultural barrier, right? That's obviously one barrier that needs to be gone. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying. So, but then the next thing is, does the product fit in the market? So, which is why you're giving this checklist, right?
Yes.
Determine, does your product fit? So cool. Oh, perfect. Here we go. So he just brought in, for those listening, he just brought up the slide. Here are some of the biggest challenges that you've told us about selling in Japan. So we've got language barrier, no understanding of what is involved, total ignorance of the marketplace, the steps setting up your Seller Central account, opening an account. So it's, in Japan. Yep. And having the FBA there, so inventory in that country, legislation rules, PPC cost, and traditional marketing does not work. Maybe that's true. I don't know. Regulations, proper listing translations, and food import requirements. But Gary, you know what? I'm going to stop talking. I want you to just do your thing. I'll cut in if I feel like I have something just mind blowing to say.
You voiced exactly what sellers have told me, right? Because if it's such a no-brainer, why is almost nobody selling in Japan, right? I mean, this is the 4th biggest Amazon marketplace in the world. Japan has a population of 126 million people, right? It's roughly like a third of the size of the US, but it's double the population of the UK. And in Japan, Amazon is the number one e-com platform. Like literally, I'm sitting here in Tokyo. I can order from Amazon Japan, Amazon Prime. Like when we moved into our Tokyo apartment 2 years ago, I ordered my TV on Amazon Prime, next day shipping. Like food and like toys for my son. Like everything. Like you see, like the Amazon delivery guys on the streets of Tokyo, like in their little vans, they're like delivering 24/7. Right? It's penetrated. Amazon has overtaken the Japanese incumbent e-com platform Rakuten. So literally Amazon is like dominating in Japan right now. And e-com is forecast to continue growing. But I think the most interesting data point for you guys, and I'm not sure if you know this, Dana, in Japan, there's far less competition and there's far weaker competition in Amazon Japan than the other marketplaces.
That I did know.
On this, yeah. So in terms of the number of sellers, it's ranked number 8. So in other words, there's, in the world, there's more sellers selling in smaller Amazon marketplaces than Japan, right? So there's more sellers selling in France, selling in India, Spain, so it goes to show it's kind of like disproportionate. Like it's the 4th biggest market, but it's ranked number 8 in the number of competition. So it's a blue ocean opportunity. And also the competition is less sophisticated. A lot of the sellers, they're not like translating properly. So there's still a great opportunity selling in Japan. And, those challenges and obstacles that we talked about just a minute ago, with the language translations and your PPC, this is based on a survey that we polled our 7-figure seller community recently. We polled about 230 sellers, and we asked them, which marketplaces are you guys selling in? So out of the 230, about 173, 75% are selling in Amazon US, 30% selling in UK, 15% selling in Germany, but only 5.7% are selling in Japan. Only 13 people out of 230. So you can see Japan is like a far underserved marketplace.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
So, yeah, I was just going to say, our buddy Carlos Alvarez, he often says barrier to entry is his favorite. The bigger the barrier to entry, the better it is, because the less competition that you're going to have. And this, to me, is primarily a language barrier and a cultural barrier, right? And if that could be overcome, then it makes an awful lot of sense why you would want to sell here.
Yeah. We actually did a training on this with Helium 10, like how to sell on Amazon Japan if you don't speak a word of Japanese. So that's on YouTube. We can link it up like together with the scorecard. So if you guys want to check that out. So literally, like, I was talking to Kevin King, our buddy Kevin, like, I was on his podcast and we were talking about Japan. He's like, but what if you don't speak Japanese? I'm like, I'm not fluent in Japanese, right? But I'm still selling on Amazon Japan. So there's tools that you can use. There's like translation services, like the right people. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna just fly through this. The reviews are actually a lot lower in Japan as well, but I'll go over the details later. And also PPC costs. We haven't even talked about
yoga
PPC.
mat, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yoga mat. Okay, we all know about the yoga mat and the foam roller
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So he just showed a picture of a yoga mat in the US, and it's got 75,000 star ratings, and the same product in Japan has 373.
Yeah.
And
keyword
now,
thick yoga mat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thick yoga mat. And so
this is the best seller. Side by side comparison.
Okay, it is. I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
So this is an apples to apples comparison, marketplace to marketplace.
Yeah, bestseller US, bestseller Japan. And Japanese people, if you're wondering, do people in Japan do yoga? Yes, they do yoga. There's yoga studios, like women, guys, they're into yoga as well. The market is not as big, but you can see even something as saturated as a yoga mat in the US, there's still some opportunities in Japan.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on Japan. The other thing, the good thing about Japan, if you're already selling in the US, Amazon or EU or UK, is with Amazon's global reviews system. As you know, Dana, you can carry over your reviews from one marketplace to another on the same ASIN, right?
That's
so
a good
if you
point.
have, If you
Yeah, go ahead.
have 700 reviews in the US and you want to launch the same product in Japan, you can launch day one in Japan with 700 reviews. Okay, so just think about that.
So
for a
they
moment.
take the English reviews from America and they port them over to Japan.
Yes. 100%.
Wow. Okay.
So that's why.
That's interesting.
If you're already selling in the US, like let's say you're doing 7-8 figures, you have, good amount of reviews, right? Obviously, we're going to talk about product market fit analysis. There's 6 bridges. It's a really good opportunity because think about you're launching day one with 700 reviews, right? That's the ultimate launch strategy, right? That that social proof that helps with your conversion rates, that lowers your PPC costs, right? It just makes everything easier, right?
Yeah. This is like the Chinese sellers that go buy these or acquire these old deprecated ASINs that have 14,000 reviews and a 4.7 star rating and then launch a completely separate product. Only this is legit.
Yeah, this is white hat. This is totally white. Everything that I'm sharing today is white hat. That's my philosophy of doing business. Like everything is like the right way.
I agree.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, cool. All right, let's keep going. PPC costs will be lower. We'll talk more about that later. And also, like all of the new FBA fees that you're getting hit with in the US, everything's going to be lower. So, inbound placement fees, when we did this study earlier this year, they don't have one. Low inventory fees, like you don't get hit until later. In the US, it's 0 to 28 days. Japan is 0 to 14 days. And the aged inventory surcharge is lower as well. So this is credit to SoulStocked, Chelsea Cohen. We did a live webinar earlier, some months ago. Just apples to apples, your FBA fees will be lower in Japan as well. It's just like Japan doesn't have the huge congestion that we see in the US because of the lower level of competition, even though it's a huge market. Okay. So I think it's pretty ridiculous, guys. I don't know about you, Dana, that like not more people are talking about Japan. That's why today I wanted to let this secret out for those of you guys that aren't thinking about Japan. Okay. So we're going to talk about
what about supplements? So I'm in supplements. Good product to have there. Okay, let's do it. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Slightly competitive here too.
products sell in Japan. And there's tools that exist that you can use to validate this. And some of these tools you're probably using right now, but I'm surprised a lot of sellers, they don't even know that they work for Japan. Okay. So number one is Amazon's own product opportunity explorer. So this is a good tool to gauge the size of the market. And number two, the external tools like Jungle Scout, Helium 10, Data Dive, these tools all support Amazon Japan, right? Did you know that, Dana? Like they work
I actually didn't. No. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that any of these
I think the vast majority of sellers, they don't even know that there's actually like a marketplace toggle, like in Helium 10. They work with Japan. I mean, it is estimated, but it is, one of the tools in the toolkit that you can use for product market fit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, all the data on these, on sales and stuff like that, that's all estimated based on BSR and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And the third thing is just amazon.co.jp, like Amazon Japan's website. You can actually go in, and the beauty of this website is there's an English language setting. So like I'm showing on screen right now. So let's say, in this example, we're looking at dog beds, right? You can just type in the English keyword dog bed into the Amazon Japan, the search bar, and then you can also like change the language setting from JP, from Japanese into English. So then it would be machine translated, but all of the search results in Japan will come out in English. So this way you can immediately see that you can gauge like, how competitive it is, right? So my suggestion to you, Dana, is if you're selling supplements, like whatever it is, go hop onto Amazon.co.jp and do exactly this. Okay. This way you can see.
I'm literally doing this as you're talking. So I'm looking, you remember when you went to that show, I asked you to look for Damascus knives.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking up Damascus knives right there.
Yeah,
and there is not
I mean, if we had more time, we could literally do like a live walkthrough of this. I don't know if we have enough time.
Maybe we should do that. Not today, we don't, but we should. Let's schedule some. Let's do this.
I mean, if you guys are interested in that, I mean, if this helps the e-com growth audience, I mean, I'm more than happy to. Okay, but
Let's
I
do
just
it.
want to cover the 6 just in the time that we have,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we can
I
do
know.
that. Okay, all right. And if you guys are following along, feel free to do it as well. Okay, so the fourth tool that I wanted to share you guys for product market fit is YouTube, right? Like a nifty little website you probably have not heard of, YouTube, right? So with YouTube,
Yeah,
let's say you sell a kitchen product, right? Everyone knows like Japanese houses are a lot smaller, like the apartments are pretty tiny, and you don't really have like a lawn, right? So like if you're selling patio furniture in the US, it's probably
yeah,
not going to work because the Japanese, most homes don't even have patios, right? So if you're
yeah,
wondering like, will my product be a good fit in Japan? Like maybe it's a kitchen product. You can actually go on YouTube and then you can type in like Japanese kitchen walkthrough, like Japanese kitchen size, and like there's people that they show you like what it looks like, right? So like in this example here, you can see this lady, there's a YouTube video called Idiot's Guide to Japanese Kitchens, and she's walking through like a Japanese apartment, and you can see the size of the kitchens. You can see like there's no dishwasher, right? There's like a lot of differences. So that's another way that even if you've never been to Japan, right, you can just use YouTube. So that helps a lot. It's not a substitute. I mean, obviously, like we do an in-person conference in Japan, and we do like 2 full days training, like the roadmap, and we actually take you to like stores, right? So if you're selling a kitchen, we'll teach you like Japanese like kitchen shop. You'll see everything. You can get hands on with the packaging, and like all the QR codes, etc. But like YouTube, that's a really good way you can quickly do this. Okay. All right. Let's skip ahead.
all right, bridge 2.
Yeah. So let's go bridge 2. And there's also like examples of products that don't work. Just very quickly, if you're selling something like a taco holder, people in the U.S. like really into tacos. I love tacos, Mexican food. Taco Tuesday. But sorry to break the news to you guys, but in Japan, like Japanese people, they don't really make tacos at home. So if you're selling something like a taco holder, do the product market fit, like the 4 steps I just showed you guys, and you'll probably find out that there's not going to be a lot of demand, right?
Yeah,
For tacos. So that's one bad example. Okay.
that's a fairly extreme example, but another version of that would be don't sell a trash can in the UK, or perhaps more likely, the Australia. Don't sell a trash can in Australia because it's a rubbish bin, right? So if you
Yeah.
promote a trash can, nobody's looking for that.
Yeah. The keywords as well, right? We'll talk more about that as well. Okay. So let's move on to bridge number 2. So this is localization, right? Or what I call Japanification. So localization, it's not just translation. Translation is only half the battle, because beyond translation, you have to make sure your listings, they're tailored to the Japanese market, to the Japanese culture. So that goes from everything from your listing, the title, the bullets, the keywords, description, A+, to actually the images. Because in Japan, like people, like they look for different things than people in the US. Like I'll show you an example in a minute. So in on this slide, we are looking at a beauty product. So Maybelline Cosmetics, right? Maybelline, everyone's heard of like the makeup brand. So for their Amazon Japan page, like it looks a lot different, right? Even though it's Maybelline, they keep the English, right? They keep the brand name like Maybelline New York, right? But you can see here, like, the listing is translated. But beyond that, like the models, right? Like the Japanese, the beauty, the standard of beauty is different from like the Western
Very
standard
different,
of beauty.
yeah.
So you can see like the Japanese girls like in this picture, they're like very like pale, like very white, because in Japan, like the beauty is like they want really pale,
the paler
white skin.
you are, yeah.
Whereas like in the West, like you want to be tan and stuff like that, right? So like that's another thing. If you're selling like the exact same thing, like tan models, that's not really going to resonate with Japan, right? So you have to Japanify your listings beyond just the translation. Okay, you can also see, if you notice here, Dana, I assume you don't speak Japanese, right?
Not the last.
Okay, but at the same time, you can see there's English like sprinkled through their Amazon storefront in Japan, right? It says like fashion brow, ultra fluffy. So like when you translate,
That sounds like a Japanese to an American style translation to me.
yes,
Like I don't think
yes.
that you would see on an American beauty page fashion brow ultra fluffy.
Yes.
Right?
Because they may highlight different things, and they may call things a little differently, right? So it's not, if you were to just like translate your listing with Google Translate, it would be totally off the mark, right? Like to a Japanese, like shopper, they're gonna be like, this is kind of weird, and they're probably gonna like, go on to the next listing, right? So that's the point I'm trying to drive home. Like you need to, Japanify your listing. It's not just translation, right? So to do that, to get your translations done, I highly recommend that you find someone, a translator that not only is native Japanese speaking, but also they have some experience with Amazon SEO and translation. Okay. YLT
I'm gonna guess you know somebody.
Yeah, YLT.
Oh, yeah, YLT.
With Yana, they have native Japanese speakers. They're based in Europe, but they've done some of my listings before, and I've had pretty good results. So if you need someone, check out YLT. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to, you know what? I'll reach out to Yana and I'll ask her to come onto the podcast. But I would love to talk
give her
about...
a shout out. Yeah, give her a shout out. I know she just had a baby like some time ago. I think she's getting back into the swing of things. But
that's
she's
why
great.
I haven't seen. I didn't even know. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. She's
cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
Okay. Yeah. Not Yana.
I'll have her on, but let's continue.
Okay. So I wanted to just do a quick pop quiz, an example of Japanification, and the holidays are coming up. So
KFC.
Dana, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay.
Okay.
What is everyone's in Japan? Okay. What is everyone's favorite Christmas dinner restaurant in Japan?
KFC.
KFC. Okay. Do you know why it's KFC?
No, I don't know why it's KFC.
So the story goes, these marketing executives at KFC, they entered Japan in the 1950s and 60s, right? And then, Japanese people, they were seeing it on TV and the movies, during Christmas time, they have the dinner spread and, maybe some turkey, maybe some ham, but in Japanese kitchens, people don't have ovens, right? They may have a tiny toaster oven, but you can't get a turkey in Japan.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So, yeah. So the next best thing, some really sharp Japanese marketing executive at KFC in Japan, they're like, hey, why don't we, co-opt that and then tell, hey, we have fried chicken. That's, and KFC is American, right? And then so they started marketing this as a Christmas dinner thing, and the Japanese audience, people think that Japanese people are conservative, but I've lived here for about 4 years. Some things Japanese people are surprisingly receptive to, some foreign things, and then when it comes to the Christmas holiday, they're like, okay, this is a foreign holiday, so we kind of want to find out some of the traditions, and then it became a thing, and then right now, if you want to,
I totally made the connections. In all the baking shows and everything, you see the beautiful turkey come out, the beautiful ham come out, whatever. But because they don't have the facilities to do that, the next best thing would be exactly this. Or if there were a honey baked ham there, right, where they could just order a whole spiraled ham.
Yeah, that could be the next thing, right? So that's an example of Japanification, right? Something that was KFC, just a fast food fried chicken place. It became you need to book a reservation if you want to have Christmas dinner at KFC in Japan, right? That's what it's become, right? It's the number one restaurant. So I hope you guys
be there for that.
Are getting what I'm, the second bridge, right? That's Japanification. Yeah. Okay. Let's quickly let's keep going. Okay. So bridge number 3 is all about import and compliance, because the Japanese import, the regulators, they have different laws, they have different compliance regulations, right? So if you've done your product market fit, you're ready to go. I mean, don't just send that shipment in just yet. Check with an import compliance company to make sure you have all of the boxes checked. Okay. So this is really, the case-by-case basis, but on a high level, there's 4 categories that I like you guys to pay special attention to. So number 1 is supplements. So Dana, you were talking about this. So if you are selling a supplement, you have to make sure that you have the right certification, the right, regulations. So even if you have the, certification or, compliance regulation for the US, you have to double check that the same certificate. Is applicable for Japan, because Japan has their own regulations. So certain products that I've sold in the past, I had the certificate from TUV or SGS, etc. you still have to check, because for Japan, like they actually required a certain test laboratory, right? Like the same one that we did, it was not approved, so we had to consider a different one. So the worst case scenario is if you import the thing and then you don't have to write certification, and then it gets stuck at customs, and you're paying like all the demurrage fees and storage, etc. So I don't want that to happen to you guys. So if you're in these categories, cosmetics, supplements, medical devices, and even any like plastic products that touch like food or drink, even something like a plastic water bottle, you have to make sure you have the right compliance regulations. So yeah, and also be aware of the testing costs. The costs depend on the size and the complexity. So more parts, more complex, could be more expensive. If you need someone, I recommend a company in Osaka, Japan called Unige. Why? They've attended our 7-figure seller Japan mastermind. They worked with a number of FBA brands, and they're experts at this. And then you can get a quotation. I mean, like literally the quotation costs like less than $100. I mean, they'll do like a quick check, right? Just to make sure you what regulation you need. So like, for example, Dean, if you're ready to go in Japan, you should contact them, and then they'll tell you, okay, you need to make sure you have, this test for Japan, right? And then they can help you with the process as well. Okay.
Yep. Cool.
We'll put that in the scorecard as well at the end, so you guys can follow. Okay. So let's keep going to bridge number 4. Shipping, logistics, and 3PLs. We talked about this earlier. Just logistically, it's going to be cheaper and faster shipping into Japan, especially if you're sourcing from China. One thing that a lot of people are not aware of is there's free trade agreements that Japan has with a number of countries, including India, Vietnam, Thailand, and also certain European countries as well. So that means not only will you save on the shipping time, zero tariffs, there's tariffs and there's duties, right? They're not the same thing. So already we have this, we're bringing down the tariff 60%, right? From 60% to 0, right?
Hey,
certain countries.
Just one second. I want to just back up for just 1 second. Unige, for everyone out there, is YUNIGE. Just in case you need someone. Yeah, that's how you search for it. And the person to reach out to is Nick Benjara. He's a great guy. So Unige. I just want to make sure that because like me as an American, I'd be like, I don't know how to properly spell that.
That's right. It's a Japanese word. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, we should put that in the show notes as well. You can put a link to
good idea.
Okay.
I'll put his email there.
Okay, so there's free trade agreements. So if you're sourcing any products in like India, for example, Vietnam, Thailand, 0% duties. So that means 0 tariffs and 0 duties. So imagine the product landed cost, how much you can drop that down, and like all that savings that goes direct to your profit.
Yeah.
And so that all of that. So like the same product that you're pricing like in the US, like maybe you have to sell it for like $30. Maybe in Japan you only have to sell it for like $25 or $20 to get the same profit. Right? Do you see what I mean? It's like so you're getting more profit. And the other question the question I get asked a lot is, do I need to set up a company in Japan? No, you don't have to set up a company in Japan. Just selling Amazon in Japan. You can keep your same LLC or your company in Hong Kong or whatever. You can sell as a foreign entity in Japan. Seller Central backend, if you're wondering, do I have to speak Japanese? Seller Central, there's an English setting. So the same Seller Central you're comfortable with in the US, it's the same thing in Japan. Okay, so you don't need to know Japanese for that. You do need to import into Japan what we call ACP, which stands for Attorney for Customs Procedures. So basically, the Japanese authorities want like someone on the ground in Japan. If something goes wrong, if there's any problems, that they can pick up the phone, they can talk to. Okay, so they also handle like some of the import duties as well. So a company like Unige, they can provide this ACP service as well. So if you need somebody, talk to them. Okay,
cool.
All right. Let's move on to bridge number 5. So now we're going into launch strategy, and this is critical for success. Everyone knows that, we want to launch strong on day 1. Long story short, in Japan, if you're already, like what we mentioned earlier, if you're already selling in the US, EU, you have a good number of reviews, you can move all of them over to Japan with the global review system. So if you have 700 reviews in the US, day 1, launch strategy.
I just have a question about that. I know we're nearly out of time. We literally have 8 minutes left before both of us have to go. But
yes,
is there a procedure on this, or does it happen automatically?
You have to make sure it's the same ASIN, is the same SKU.
Sure.
And
That makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I don't have time to get into the nitty gritty, but it's
Okay,
basically, it's not complicated, right? Yeah.
Okay,
If
cool.
you just look at the Seller Central material and like, it's like literally, I mean, there were like promotions for like, Amazon US, they want to get more sellers into Japan. So just
Okay.
look at that. It's not complicated. I'll just put it that way.
Sweet.
It's
Okay,
not like a
all right,
secret
cool.
thing, right? It's pretty cut and dry. And the other thing is the review thresholds in Japan are a lot lower. So in this example, diapers, US, the number, like this seller, like Pampers diapers,
Almost 71,000 reviews.
71,000 US versus 13 reviews, right? This is an
Yeah.
extreme example, but I think you guys understand, just because like so few sellers, right? The review threshold is a lot lower. So in the US, like those 700 reviews, maybe you're like in the middle of the pack in terms of reviews. Maybe in Japan, you'll be like near the top of the pack, right? So so this just makes everything easier, right? Like conversion rates are better.
This is like your
social...
your launch strategy dream. So long as you've got a decent rating in whatever marketplace you're selling in, this is a launch strategy dream where you go, cool, the product is live, like awesome. I've already got 4.8, 4.6, 4.7, whatever it is, 4.5, and I've got 700, 500, 300, 200, even 100 reviews. You don't have to slog through that, acquiring the first 30 reviews, going to Vine, and the Vine reviewers being annoyingly in depth about what they don't like about the product that they got for free, and the end of that review is not worth the money on the product that they got for freaking free. But okay, let's get on the next one.
Yeah. Okay. So the last bridge is to optimize your sales and marketing for Japan. So long story short, Amazon PPC in Japan, sellers will be pleasantly surprised because on average, the PPC costs are a lot lower than Amazon US and EU. There's also like all the new ads, like they're all available, even like, the headline video ads, like everything is available there, and you'll have all of the analysis optimization. In addition, in Japan, external marketing, especially influencer marketing, that's big in Japan. And social media is the key. And I just wanted to show you the top 8 social media platforms in Japan. Have you heard of a social media platform, Dana, called Line? So Line is the number one social media app in Japan. It's kind of like, in China, there's WeChat. It's like a super app, right? So like, not only is everyone
social
and
media,
their friends,
it's contact, it's chat, it's money, it's
like
all that
brands,
stuff.
It's brands like, shops, like, like Uniqlo, they have like their Line account, and like they want you to scan the QR code. So essentially, you can use insert cards to build a list, right? A list online, and there's ways that you can follow up. You can offer coupons. You can,
US
tell
compliant
them about sales. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like the US, right? You have to do it like the right way. You can't say like, like in exchange for reviews, right? You can't do like incentivized reviews, but like, as a special bonus, or if you can offer additional content, like, FAQ, like questions like how to use this, like, like maybe for your supplement, right? Like I'm sure like the number one question is X, right? So you can, do like, hey, do you want like, more tips on how to stay fit, etc. Scan our Line account. Obviously everything is translated into Japanese, but we're seeing brands, they're, getting a lot of success. And like, one of the sellers that we talk to, like every time he's like, there's a holiday, he just sends out a message to his Line list, and the Amazon sales, they just like skyrocket, right? It's like a lever that he's pulling. Right.
I love that. That's a lot of the professionals that are out there that and I'm fully on board with this. There's a lot of people that say, hey, you don't need to be off Amazon. I firmly believe that you need to diversify and be in multiple marketplaces, not just Amazon. And if you're able to build a list online, those customers become yours, because your Amazon customers, they don't belong to you. They're not your customer. They're Amazon's customer. You just got the benefit of Amazon paying you for putting your product there after you paid a lot of money to do that. So
that's right.
That is fantastic. It could be, conceivably, it could be less expensive for you to sell and more profitable for you to sell in Japan, and you can build a list. The only thing you'd have to really get over is just the intricacies of it and the language barrier.
Yeah. Well said.
Crazy.
Well said. And Twitter, interestingly enough, X is really big in Japan, because like it was big before, it's still big now because of the Japanese language. Like the characters are shorter than like, American like English words, right? So like X has become like a very popular. Even today, it's number 2 behind Line, and Instagram is number 3. So these are some social media platforms. Okay, so we talked about the 6 bridges, guys. I wanted to offer a bonus bridge because we're doing an in-person conference, the 7-Figure Seller Japan Mastermind. We're doing an in-person event in Tokyo next year, March 17th, 18th. So if
it's right
this
after
is
Prosper.
resonating. Yeah, it's right after Prosper. If it's resonating with you guys, and if you're interested in learning more, we're really going to show you the roadmap to selling into Japan. So we'll put the information on in the scorecard as well. 7-Figure Seller Japan Mastermind.com, and it'll be a 2-day in-person event.
All right, let's do that one more time. 7-Figure Seller Japan
Mastermind.com. Yes.
Okay, so
let me see if
only 128 characters long.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll share the URL with you offline, Dana, just for the sake of time.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
We had a great event last year, and it's going to be in Tokyo. It'll be 2 full days of basically any question you have, like the person in the room to answer that will be there. So if you have a question about import compliance, Unigate will be there. If you have a question about like import, like localization, etc., you'll get all your questions answered. So you'll walk away with the roadmap to selling your brand into Japan, and you'll meet other sellers that are doing the same thing. All right. So
cool. I love it.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary, so much for being on the show. Listen, I think that we need to do some kind of a follow-up where we do like a live case study. I don't know how I would implement that. That wouldn't necessarily be the podcast, but let's figure something out, because I think that would be super cool to just like, maybe one of my friends will give me a product and we go, cool, let's research this. Let's see what this product is and does, and maybe we'll live stream it or something like that. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. I mean, we can do like a live webinar with our community, 7-Figure Seller Summit. Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to do that.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone, if you want to get a hold of Gary, it's 7-Figure Seller Summit. And if you want to download the perks that he has offered to the listeners here, it's going to be 7figuresellersummit.com/growth. All right, Gary.
So what you'll get is a scorecard.
Yeah.
So there's about like a 12-point scorecard. We'll look at different points that you can score. So at the end of the scorecard, you'll see like is it a green light for you in Japan? Is it a yellow light or red light, right? And if it's a green light, then please talk to me. You can email me, Gary@8020sourcing.com, 8020sourcing.com. I would love to help. I work with brands as well to help them scale into Japan.
Love it. All right, Gary, thank you very much for being on the show. Always great to talk to you, my friend. And I'll be in touch. We'll chat soon. We'll figure out the next thing to do together.
Perfect. It's my everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, guys. Good luck. Hope to see you guys in Japan next year.
All right. See ya.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.